So it's Damac Islands versus Sharjah real estate. No. Why I chose this topic is, does anyone idea why I chose this topic? What is the relevance?
The price point in townhouses.
Because
Minutes.
oh, that's interesting. Huh? And I didn't think of that angle. That's a good angle. What was it? 30 minutes away. It's equidistant. That's a very good angle. Huh? My angle is simple. Damac Islands have considerably increased the prices of their townhouses, right? So it's like 2.7, 2.8 million. And there's a part 3 coming, So Damac Islands 1 was at around 2.2 million starting price. Damac Islands 2, starting price 2.7, 2.8. Damac Islands 3, the starting price is going to be 3.2, And now this is not concerning. This is where we analyze. I'm not saying it's concerning. Okay. I'm not saying it. But the problem is the difference between an Emaar and a Damac is that when Emaar increases the price, they increase the built-up area or the plot, or they do some sort of change, they reduce the density. Okay, Damac has reduced the density, but the plot and built-up is pretty much the same, which is another part of the concern. But what can we compare it? Because all the townhouse and villas are quite expensive now. Everyone's increased their price. The benchmark of Emaar is now $1 million, $3.5 million. So we're looking at alternate options. That's where we have Sharjah real estate, and Imtiaz is going to educate us on Sharjah real estate, and we're going to have a debate.
Thank you. So when we started, actually Sharjah was never on the radar because, in terms of noise to signal ratio, Dubai always tops the list, right? There's so much of hype every day, the launches and stuff. I think to be quite honest, why we started looking at Sharjah was actually because of some of the investors, right? So there were investors who had done their groundwork. So that's when we started looking at it. So when I started, and then I started spending good amount of time on the ground and stuff like that, right? So I think a couple of things at a macro level. One is Sharjah is emerging as a viable alternative for an affordable Dubai. It's not competing with Dubai as a whole, but as Dubai starts scaling up, there is a very clear difference between luxury, ultra luxury, and a sort of affordable segment, right? Now, Sharjah is in competition with that. And what's also happening is the affordable part of it, right? A lot of middle class families are being outpriced of this, like as what, So Damac is like probably a proxy for an affordable segment, right? And with Damac starts hitting 3 million sort of thing for a townhouse, and for like a 2,200 sort of built-up area, that's fine. Parallelly, another aspect that's happening, is Sharjah started opening up about 3 years back, right? Now, all these are some certain macro factors, which probably the timing is right, and it's just sort of come together, and it's sort of giving that tailwinds to Sharjah. So point number 1, Dubai started becoming increasingly sort of unaffordable for a certain segment of buyers. Point number 2, Sharjah started opening up. So it passed a leasehold to freehold decree towards the end of 2022. And I started researching about it in terms of why it happens. Actually, what happened was Sharjah has always been a twin city for Dubai, right? So Sharjah has always been riding on economic drivers of Dubai. So which is why this whole DRA business way people used to work here and all that. So Dubai then started moving towards south, right? So it started announcing Expo, airport, and the entire thing, right? Now, once the epicenter started shifting, Sharjah then had to sort of come up of something of his own. And that's when Arada was formed. Arada is like the Emaar of Sharjah or the Aldar of Abu Dhabi, right? So Arada was formed in 2017, backed by the government, headed by certain reputed stuff, right? So it started happening, and then the decree started passing, leasehold became freehold. A lot of people who were staying in Sharjah had good disposable incomes, but they never had a choice to invest in Sharjah, right? So Dubai was the only choice. The third aspect that was sort of happening is once Sharjah started opening up, there is a different sort of buyers which Sharjah started attracting, which is completely different from what the buyer set of Dubai is, right? Now, these are the people who wanted to invest in a slightly more cultural society, right? And for them, they are able to relate to a Sharjah environment better. Now, who are these people? A couple of them are residents or citizens or people from GCC and Middle East countries who have good disposable income, but they're able to relate to Sharjah's environment a bit better than Dubai's, right? And once Sharjah started opening up, they started showing. Second is people from African countries which had a certain good Muslim population, Sudan, Nigeria and stuff like that. That Sharjah became, because Ajman was again sort of, not in the radar. The third and interesting off late, what's also happening is all the Western countries, right? UK, Europe, Canada, a lot of Muslim population as well. When they want to sort of they're looking at Sharjah as a sort of viable option.
That people have a theory or concept that, maybe people who cannot afford Dubai invest in Sharjah. Now, what is important about this is that's not the case. So these investors that I've dealt with, they invested around 10 million 2 years ago in Dubai real estate. They prefer living in Sharjah. Even we had a call with somebody from the UK
yesterday.
Yes.
So he's based in Qatar, originally from UK. He's again has about a couple of investments in Valley, looking at exiting because of the recent handover. And yesterday evening I had a call. First time I spoke to him, he started venting out against Dubai in terms I cannot get my family there. It's so this thing here. I have a mosque. I love Doha. But so Sharjah is suddenly seeming to be very sort of attractive because, you know, when Sharjah started opening up, when Arada started leading the whole project development, a lot of new developers coming in. So you're really having a viable option where you're having a Dubai sort of quality of communities, infrastructure, standard of living, construction qualities and all that at a price point which is slightly sort of cheaper. But more importantly, it's giving that combination of, right culture plus contemporary architecture plus price point and a good headroom for growth from an investor standpoint.
See, now there is a little bit of a perspective coming that, okay, is Sharjah only for Muslims then? It's a bit of that kind of a angle coming in. Largely, I think, yes, because, but I think if you visit the communities, have any one of you guys been to an Arada community? You have been? It's beautiful. Have you been to an Al Zahia? So the first time I visited Sharjah communities when Majid Futem was launching Tilal Al Gaf. For a comparison, I went to Al Zahia and I was shocked. It was beautiful houses. There's actually so much greenery. It was actually like that Oasis concept, 55% open spaces.
Or if you look at Masaar, if you go to the first phase of Masaar is handed over, right? If you look at it, it's such a lovely community. Anybody who walks in for the first time, right, will just get blown away in terms of what they have done.
It gave me
it's a resort feeling.
Like an Arabian Ranches one. Like if I give Barari is a little more closer. Arabian Ranches one, like open, green, nice modern houses. So it's not just Muslims. It's also nowadays the world's perspectives have been fluctuating, right? So nowadays, 10 years ago, if you speak to Americans, they were like, oh, we love our freedom, like let's do whatever we want. And but now they're like, oh no, they're moving towards culture, right? They're like, hey, there's a growing population of saying, okay, I don't want to drink, I don't want to smoke, I want my kids to grow up in a nice environment. I don't want the party lifestyle intentionally, not out of force, intentionally. So those, because I saw a lot of people move in from Dubai Hills, so paying really high rents.
Yeah.
They started looking, why? Because the houses were beautiful, actual plots, not just plot and build up, actual proper nice sized plots. Nice houses.
Actually, more than from a less of a religious angle, but it's more of it's just making sense for both investors who don't intend to stay, and we will sort of look into why, and also for people who want to move in, just having a slightly more family oriented environment at, of course, a slightly better pricing, open spaces, but yet having all access to Dubai, right? So they're not really missing out anything from Dubai. With just like a 20-minute drive, all fun, work, study, work, play, everything. But then again, for family, for staying, it's just coming out. Right?
20 minutes at 4 a.m. in the morning.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Similar conversation last night when I also reached out to same name with my client is invested in Hadal Shiba Gardens, Omnia, and now he's like, I want to have Arada, Masaar in my portfolio. And he knew everything about the community. He was like, kind of low and Ben community, purely investment. And he's like, Gujarat. It's not that like that.
Yeah, got it, yeah.
But support Arada's term. That's the conversation, simply put, right? Where they're like, I'm entering a 3-bedroom house at one price going less than 2.5 million. Even 2-bed, there's options. 4-bed, you can get for like less than.
This is, I'm not trying to hard sell you Sharjah and de-sell Damac. As consultants, it's important to be aware of every product. The first 3 months, we're going to study maybe Ras Al Khaimah, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah. Okay. Then I want to also study Oman, Saudi Arabia. As consultants, we really need to understand the Middle East numbers, data, so that we can have a solid. We don't follow the market.
Yep. Also at the end of the day, it's just another alternative option, right? Like we always say, there is no perfect project, there's no best project. Like every project is good for a certain kind of buyer and based on what his goals and objectives is, right? So when we're looking at that segment of townhouse villas, this could be one viable alternative, and then it just helps us to sort of compare.
Dubai, everything, the prices, cost of living is getting quite expensive, right? People in these countries, they don't necessarily want to show off, or they're happy in studying. They don't have to study in American university in Dubai. They can study in American university in Sharjah. There's a huge difference in the school fees as well. So they can have much lower cost of living, and they can have a good lifestyle. See, their focus in the West is about having a good lifestyle, right? Good lifestyle for themselves, the family. So it does offer that, Yes, the road infrastructure we'll discuss until later stage, but we will discuss. Okay.
But did you know that the American University of Sharjah is still ranked higher than AUA?
Do you know that Sharjah is known as the educational capital of UAE?
Yeah.
Okay, so
The number one university in UAE is Sharjah.
Yeah.
Sharjah because my whole family lived there. That's why I understand. See, the challenge with Sharjah is two things: roads and traffic.
Yeah.
That's it. For people, it's the most family-oriented emirate in all UAE. They are keeping this family culture there, and that's why people love it. Arada is payment plan is crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's 30, 70.
40, 60. Yeah.
It's an easy sell. Challenge like when people are in Sharjah and they're working in Dubai. That is the only challenge. I think Ittihad Ray will fix that.
Also,
Well,
yeah.
yes, if this objection is handled, selling Sharjah.
So we'll try and handle that.
No, but see, why handle the objection? Just say this is the case. Take it or leave it. Sometimes you don't have to handle an objection. Just say, listen, my job as a consultant is to give you data. I'm not here to manipulate data. It is the problem. But it is majorly for people maybe who work at home, who have flexible work timings, who don't have to go on working hours, who are considering an investment angle because the supply is limited. It's a beautiful community. Do you want to live in cookie cutter house, or do you want to live in a beautiful community at the same value?
See, also on the traffic point, right? So if you look at the typical Sharjah to Dubai route, where the traffic is sort of blocked, right? All the new communities that are coming in are actually suburbs, which is sitting on the Emirates Road, right? So from a geographical standpoint, a suburb community of Sharjah in some of these new launches actually share a similar characteristics of any suburb community of Dubai, because both are sort of next,
Yes,
right?
there is one challenge here. Sharjah is the second biggest. Sharjah is like 7-8 times the size of Dubai. So because like what is called
No.
suburb now, Sharjah is huge.
No, but it's smaller than Dubai.
Oh, but Sharjah is fragmented, right?
Not the other side, but Sharjah area is smaller than Dubai.
This is all under the Emirates of Sharjah. Yeah, Sharjah is the second biggest, and all of this is considered now on the development. Now, when they are talking this new conference, they want to develop whole Sharjah. So these places now that are considered suburb. This is the downtown of Sharjah is still developing. It's like now this is like downtown on Marina, but they are developing.
Which also in a way, then we are also saying that what looks like a suburb is going to be center, and then we are sort of beginning of the curve, right? So it's also an opportunity to sort of get it.
Like, this thing will take another 30 years.
Also, there is this, they've announced this, Emirates Road expansion, about 750 million of budget that's allocated, which is primarily towards widening of this Emirates Road from the Sharjah and above corridor, right? Not necessarily on this side. So there are a couple of...
See, the population is increasing, which is a major concern. Already we're not unable to handle the traffic, and the population is constantly increasing. That is why there's so much expansion. That's why understanding Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, that entire, the south of Dubai, you see that there's an entire city, that Mira is building an entire city over there. Bain is building a city. So that entire stretch, this diamond belt that I've explained, there's so much land and infrastructure there, and it's being developed. It's not just lying there. So there will be a shift of population over there. They're trying to come up with concepts like Etihad Rail. For how much it will work out to reduce traffic, we don't know. But let's just see a spade as of now. We'll understand the data, existing data, right? And we're going to study the trajectory of Masaar. And again, we're not saying that, put this now, we'll make 100% profit. No. Analyze what you're getting into.
Also, just to add on, like Dubai has a master plan 2040, right? So there is a certain visibility of where, there's certain clarity, visibility, and hence the planning becomes a little more easier. Sharjah, for example, still does not have that.
All Emirates don't have. That's
Yeah, even Abu Dhabi as well, right? Yeah. So, but then again, that's the bet that we'll have to sort of take, thinking that the government will double down based on what they have been doing in the last couple of years.
If the Dubai market takes a hit, how much harder is that hit going to be in Sharjah?
Or you agree?
See, no. Actually, that's a wrong concept. In terms of like, let's say the market was hit in 2009, and then there was another hit during COVID. 2016, the market slowed down. There were some products that were resilient. So, which products were resilient? In terms of if you analyze which products, okay, in Dubai, if you take a case study, it's Emirates Living District. Okay, where you had products like Meadows, Springs, these townhouses, they didn't budge. Peak COVID, did not budge. Okay, why? Again, because 80% are end users, right? So what is the difference? I feel like products that are going to take a hit. For example, there are two similar launches. If Abu Dhabi is trying to rise at one point, Sharjah is also trying. Ras Al Khaimah is also trying, right? Ras Al Khaimah is based on Wynn Casino. Okay, so market takes a hit, probably Wynn Casino will slow down. So Sharjah guys, Ras Al Khaimah guys are probably screwed. Abu Dhabi released, let's say, a Fahid Island, right, by Alda. Okay, but the price is 3,500, 4,000 dirham per square foot. It's not cheap. It's quite expensive, right? Expensive. Now it's based on the fact that okay, there's a certain high-end crowd moving to Abu Dhabi. Market takes a hit, that's scary. Sharjah has existing infrastructure, right? And major of these guys, most of them, at least the ones everyone I've met, they're saying, I want to live there.
So it's an end user market. That's like
an
very clear market. So even when Yash sort of presents the numbers, right, we always keep talking about 70% of the current buyers in most of the things are investors who are looking at exit at the handover or before. Here, actually, even both numbers as well as when you go live, see at the sales center, spend some time, right, you will realize that it's the other way around. 60 to 70% are end users who want to sort of move in now. And there are certain underlying reasons as well. We'll get into it. Now, this may not hold good true in the coming years, but as of now, maybe for the next 2 to 3 years, this is how sort of...
Yeah, because investors are still excited about Dubai, right? Like even when I went to invest, I ended up buying in Damac and I didn't think of Sharjah, right? Because I feel more comfortable in Dubai. But that's maybe my lack of maybe digging more deep, or it's just my comfort zone. Or it's a mindset. Let's understand.
So, a couple of macro things, right? So, in terms of Sharjah, we feel that it's probably the most undervalued market as of now, not the cheapest market, right? Undervalued in the sense, if you compare to the price at which you're paying and the sizes and the type of units that we're getting and the stage at which the whole emirate is in terms of the upward trajectory and the headroom for capital appreciation. If you sort of factor in all this and underlying, the stability factor of it being a primarily end user sort of buyer, when you sort of factor in, we feel that it's probably the most undervalued real estate market as of now.
This is a very, very interesting point. Understanding the headroom. Now, why did I say Fahid Island is expensive? Because I hedged it with Saadiyat. Now, Saadiyat is the top premium community of Abu Dhabi. If Saadiyat is trading at 5,000 to 7,000, you pricing at 4,000 leaves me very less headroom. Sharjah, again, Ras Al Khaimah, where it started. If you look at the initial, there was a Pacific project. I don't know if you guys know about this project. So there was a project called Pacific where till date you can get studios for around 600,000. You can get one beds around 1 million. And then the current projects are trading at around 3,000 dirham per square foot. We don't know the headroom because there's no comparable. Sharjah started at 2022. We're looking at that suburb. Again, Masaar, when we compare, okay, there has been an upward trend. So as of now, again, I don't know how much more it can go, but the price per square foot as of now is still quite low. I'm not investing on a very high price per square foot. If I compare the suburb with the suburb of Dubai, if I compare the distances, it's quite...
There is one interesting project, like we will probably deep dive a little later, Altay Hills, right?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting project. Like if you really mark the boundary of Sharjah on the map, right? It sits right on the boundary. Like when you cross Dubai, it's the first community that you enter. When you step, like you can take a walk and you get into Dubai. It's that, right? And that is priced at like crazily, right? Like 30-70 payment plan with 1.2 million equity, you get access to a 4.2 million villa.
But the most important part of Altay Hills, I actually made a whole video on Altay Hills. Altay Hills is the first Sharjah project that I spoke about. Why? Because I was so confident of the developer. IFA has developed projects like Fairmont, Mr. 8, Golden Mile, At the Palm.
And they have like 7 or 8 projects on Palm.
And they are, Golden Mile till date is probably one of the best floor plans in the whole of Palm. One of the best floor plans. One of the best bathrooms, for sure. Best bathrooms. If you just Google Golden Mile and study the floor plan and look at the bathrooms, till date, it's a bit dark, old school. But if you look at the models or the villas of Altay Hills, they are beautiful, fantastic designs because these guys know what they're doing. And that's another beauty of Sharjah. Every project of theirs is such strong backing. Arada is like the IMA. Altay Hills is backed by IF. There's another Khalid bin Sultan city,
which is again backed
backed
by government, right?
With similar model to Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
These communities have like business centers, community clubs.
So Altay is more like a boutique community. It's like a large central park, about 1,100 villas and townhouses, boutique community, 3 community centers, but not necessarily a commercial space.
A lot of people like now move in, they work from home, they want an office space rental close by and stuff.
So you have those kind of sort of in community centers, you have those kind of sort of office spaces for co-working and those kind of things, but not necessarily like a commercial office spaces built in.
So you kind of have to step out of the community for that.
For to office, to go to your office, you'll have to step out of the community. Yeah. That's actually a good point. We have to check what the commercial zone is. That's still in the city, I guess.
So Arada, Masaar is one of the recent projects. They have this Aljada, which is more towards the city. So Aljada is a massive community. It's a mixed-use development. So combination of, I don't think so it's apartments, but primarily townhouse villas, and they're building a very massive, they're creating a downtown, Sharjah downtown. And incidentally, there are commercial spaces for sale right now.
Okay.
But they're not individual, right? So you need to buy out the entire floor or the entire building. But that's one option. Yeah, but beautiful community.
Do you have any, Abduka, I'm not very well aware of the map like that. Any waterfront living? Sharjah is water living.
Yeah.
There is water.
They are coming up because a lot of the earlier ones that was there was mostly leasehold and those kind of things. But now there are a couple of waterfronts. Yeah.
But I feel like, again, Sharjah, if you're targeting, we should probably target the houses, because there is a certain demand for this kind of living, like that sort of culture and lower cost of living, families, it's a more stable. Waterfront is more, let's say we should target communities like, personally, if it's waterfront, I would rather target communities like Dubai Islands, Maritime City, Palm, Abu Dhabi, because that's a different crowd, a different source market. Here we're talking about a very different source market.
Yeah.
We need to understand these. See, this is where, as a consultant, when you start having a conversation based on their pain points, we're able to get them a product that makes sense for them, that suits them. That's why understanding all these different markets really matter.
Yeah, waterfront, I think anything on the Dubai, Abu Dhabi belt, that entire stretch is always anything good. That side may not be, because people are there also, like what Khalid was saying, that's the core thing where you get stuck with the traffic when you come to Dubai. So people want to sort of... Yeah, it's also a small community, a boutique community.
Towards Ajman.
So, a couple of quick things, right? So, again, like I told, it's been just about 3 years since the whole emirate has been converted into freehold. So, it's in that trajectory. We take examples of Jeddah and Jumeirah Garden City, right? So, the whole emirate is sort of riding on that curve. Because the whole end user market is very different than what in Dubai. It just creates a slightly more stable, less volatile, less stress and pressures upon handovers, when we are to really plan for our investors, because most of them are end users, so less volatility in that case. We'll come to this demand density, right? So when I was doing the research, I just found something interesting on this. It's probably a proxy way to sort of gauge how strong is the absorption factor of any new townhouse and villa community related to that particular region, right? And we realized that that's, again, these are like proxy indicators, but it gives a directional clarity in terms of how well the market is ready to sort of absorb this.
Now, people who don't understand absorption, now this is a very important factor. Absorption means, let's say a community like Arabian Ranches 3 handed over, okay? We suddenly have 600 sun villas. Now, how long will it take those 600 sun villas to rent out, to resale? Because once that cycle is complete, that's when the market the prices start increasing. If that increases, like, for example, okay, let's say IMA communities normally take around 2 months to 3 months maximum absorb, but the other communities take a longer period. If the community is not as branded or not as popular or doesn't provide enough value, it takes around 6 to 8 months. And that's when you start getting distressed deals. So that absorption rate is extremely important for a community. And us as consultants should understand this absorption rate.
And I think this one is really interesting, right? After I sort of went through and really studied it, I was really blown away in terms of the pricing at which we get her. And if you plan the whole, because of the payment plan, right? The pricing cash flow equation, the way it's kind of working out, it's really amazing, especially from an investor standpoint, right? So we're going to details, but the larger point is that it's opened up. We are slightly early in the investment cycle. Yeah. So that's where the headroom for sort of growth.
Every investor wants to understand this. Like, for example, biggest challenge of EMAR is the cash flow, right? The biggest challenge, even for example, this project that we're dealing with in Jaf, Imkan, right? Ohana, it's so aggressive. Like, every 3 months, boom, 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 there's a payment. 1% payment plan is a sham because every month you're paying 1% again, and after 6 months, boom, there's 5%. So if you simply put the cash flow of that product and this product, now these again, extremely important every single day, guys. If there's one activity I would add is just make one report. Take one product, do the cash flow and just compare it around the product. You have no idea how much value that's going to increase in your call. Nobody does this, right? So much value.
And incidentally, like when we talk about very flexible, investor-friendly payment plans, we also have seen there's a certain risk to that, right?
Yeah, of course.
But we will also see in terms of how, to some extent, because of sort of underlying market, right? Those risks are slightly lesser and mitigated in case of Sharjah. Just a very quick thing, right? So again, just quick, like a mental map. When we talk about Dubai, we're talking about trade, tourism, targeting global audience, bling, hype launches, right? So that's where Dubai rides. Abu Dhabi, more of a oil-rich, silent-rich, sovereign wealth funds, trying to now diversify into tech investments, financial, diplomatic hub, and luxury, right? Luxury and silent luxury, larger spaces, and so on and so forth. Sharjah, cultural, educational hub, family-oriented, and with an affordability sort of angle, right? So just a quick mental picture of how these Emirates are.
Extremely important point. Most of my videos I've said, the second I see 3070, I get stressed. Like I told about Dubai Science Park, where every project over there is 3070, means every agent is selling it as an investor module, and every agent is telling the investors that, hey, if you buy this, you make 100% return on equity because you're paying only this much. Sharjah is a more difficult product. Not everyone's attracted to Sharjah. Over here, the angle is that people, why they've priced it at this model is because the government has money. They can complete the construction. They don't need money. And second is that they want to give finance because the whole concept is more for families, right? So they can use finance. Again, it's a great product for the Western crowd who are more accustomed to that concept. Westerners are not used to the concept of paying 80%, 100%. They look at that like a incorrect market, people who are just trying to move money. But here, paying that just a down payment and getting the rest financed is they're more accustomed to that.
Quick thing, Sharjah, there's a economic hub, it's also the educational capital, right? Like not many people know about this. Everybody thinks Sharjah just rides on the whole Dubai's economic engines. Yes, like about 30-40% of the working population travels to Dubai for work, right? But actually 1/3 of the entire UAE's manufacturing setup is in Sharjah. They're close to about 30 plus industrial zones, 7 plus free zones, right? 100,000 plus companies which are sort of registered, right? So it has its own economic engine because it's again a non-oil GDP sort of based, right?
By the way, Sharjah now is still going, so if there is
discovered oil.
Mine also.
See, and then there's this another section I want to touch briefly. Again, this is all individually based. Okay, this is just giving an angle to think about. Okay. Every single developer that projected themselves as affordable in Dubai has somehow now streaming towards, Damac was affordable, Danube was affordable, Samana was affordable. All the affordable developers, you can see a big price shift in them. So we should try and find those, a good consultant has an eye for opportunity, okay, does this affordable option have the potential to become rare, scarce, and increase in prices,
Yeah, so there's a risk and there is like an affordability angle, and there's also a room capital appreciation angle, right? So difficult to balance sort of all the three, but closer we sort of get to that.
Especially in such a market where everything is really, the prices are going boom, people like us who should really study, we should act like investors.
Really scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Was any correction, it's gonna be the kind of chocolate.
Again, that's a wrong concept. Resilient products don't budge. We need to invest into resilient products. So identifying resilient products is a power of a good consultant.
So then how can we identify resilient products as sharp in that sense?
Till now, everything we've been explaining is leading to that. Yeah, because it has a strong end user market. The prices are affordable. It's not released at a very high. It's all backed by the government. So it's not it's not like BMW coming in with 100 plots and making construction. It's not like Samana with 50 projects and none of them have any construction on it. It's not like Ellington who's again, boom, bam, bam. And if you go to the actual sites, you might not see construction on it. These are government backed, low priced, targeting an end user market, it ticks all the boxes. And that's how you become a strong consultant.
Especially in townhouse villas, I feel that one of the sort of way to sort of foolproof this. Of course, end user market is like probably provides the most strongest stability, but especially in townhouse villas, the land, right? Because it has a land which has an intrinsic value to the product itself. Because technically, a building starts depreciating after some time. Land sort of appreciates, right? So in Sharjah, the land sizes, the plot sizes for an equivalent products are far better than this thing. So you technically owning a larger piece of land, which might have certain temporary corrections, but in the longer run, you're just holding.
It's like investing in gold. At the end of the day, it's a safe asset. Investing in land, people feel safer.
We discussed this educational capital, right? So there is like a separate, like the way we have academic city. So we also have a university city in Sharjah. Like first time, if nobody tells you that it's a university city, if you just pass by, right, you will not know that it's an academic city. You will think it's like a palace. So I moved to, when I moved to UAE, I first moved to Sharjah with my family. So my son's school was like next to universities. I used to go drop in, right? First time, I didn't know anything about it. So first time, I'm seeing this like a palace, right? I really thought it's a palace of the family. Then when I checked, I realized it's a part of the university city. It's not even a college or a university. It's a library. It is looking like a palace. I'll share the photos with you, right? So like amazing architecture and like American University, University of Sharjah, and multiple, there are about 15-20 universities. And good thing is these are all multidisciplinary, right? And higher education. So we have information technology, we have medical, we have law, we have aerospace and space. There's a space technology as a separate institute. There's dental and multidisciplinary, and there's also a massive women-only university as well. If somebody is they're co-eds as well as that as well, right? So massive educational hub. In fact, I know a lot of them who are actually staying in this Sharjah. I was talking to Zoeb, the Altay on, right? So he was telling that a lot of them who are staying towards the border of Sharjah actually sending their kids to some of these schools and colleges in these things, right?
Because schools and colleges are very scary in Dubai. The kind of stuff, I don't know, there's lesser education, nowadays. That's another topic to debate on. Yeah.
Right. So one of the major turning point which sort of accelerated this whole, Sharjah putting on a real estate map was they passed a decree in 2022 towards the end. So which is basically moving up from freehold, leasehold to converting a lot of designated areas into freehold, right? Because till then, what used to happen, there was like Sharjah's population is roughly about 1.92 million, half of Dubai's population, have a good disposable income, have good purchase power, but even if they want to, they could not buy anything. And like if you speak to people who have stayed in Sharjah for some time, even if you give them a choice, they will not come to Dubai, right? Sharjah people love Sharjah, and the set of people in Dubai who will not like Sharjah, will not go to, right? It has like a very strong affinity towards those.
I've seen the same thing in Abu Dhabi as well. People who love Abu Dhabi don't like Dubai. So there are these crowds, So people who love Sharjah stay in Sharjah. They don't like Dubai. So it's just identifying.
So like typically we have seen in Dubai like 20 years back, been seeing in Abu Dhabi quite recently. We've seen certain pockets in Dubai, right? So whenever there's a leasehold to freehold conversion, till then the development is all muted because obviously there's no buyer itself, right? So it's a supply and demand dynamics. So then a lot of these big developers started coming in, primarily led by Arada, and then you have a lot of the developers, and now, options are opening up. I was talking to one of the investors, like who had come to purchase in Masaar. So he was giving me this analogy. He was telling me that he's been in Sharjah for quite some time. Now with these launches that are coming in, they have never seen something like this level of quality. So it's like a desert with no water and somebody is just dripping water, right? That's how it's getting absorbed. So he was giving me that analogy.
But that's 611 as well, right? The 611 in Dubai, at some point, I was looked at just the 611 is the highway. It's literally the highway. It's a truck highway. But every single project is on 611 right now. Like, I'm not able to keep doing it. But then your acres, your Villanova, Arabian Ranches 3, Haven, Athlon by Alda, then Shoba's Reserve. All of it's on 611,
And this is one point, right? We'll probably cover this later. But what really happened was when, so by the way, when Masaar 1 was launched, it was actually launched as a leasehold. Because by that time, the freehold decree was not come. Later on, they sort of converted into a freehold and then sort of opening up. Right? It was launched at 650, 675. So it has 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 3 is currently out of 6. 3 have been sold, 4th is going on. It's currently being launched at 1,001 to 1,200, right? So about 70 to 80% depreciation in Sharjah. And again, most of them are end users. One interesting fact about this is apparently the people who have bought in Masaar 1 and the people who are buying in Masaar 2, 42% of the people who are buying in Masaar 3 are the people who have already bought in Masaar 1. So extremely heavy repeat, and you could literally see there the people are getting their families to come by. Now they bought one, now they want to buy another one for their another family, right?
That's something I've seen only in Emaar in Dubai, where you can identify this model, which is a positive sign, and this is a very strong indicator. Again, there are a few indicators that you can analyze a strong product. So this is probably one of the most important factors. Apart from that price per square foot. Okay, yes. Yeah.
Couple of macro trends on the demand side, right? So one is, of course, Sharjah has its own population trajectory that's growing. Historically, it's been growing about 2.5 to 3%. Again, no exact estimate, but I'm assuming it's around 1.9 to 2 million as of now. Roughly about half of what Dubai is currently. Assuming about with the same growth rate, I'm assuming it will going to get accelerated a bit, but assuming it's the same, we'll touch about 2.25 in 5 years and about 2.5 to 2.7 in about 10 years time. Now, this whole thing, out of this, there's like about 35 to 40% of working population, which is currently sort of traveling to Dubai, going through that daily 1.5 hour of traffic route, right? And and the reason why they're staying there is partly, of course, cost, but also because they are the people of those Sharjah loyalists. They don't want to get in there, right? Yeah. And they've been there for decades together, have the purchase power, and now wanting to move out to suburbs because obviously families are growing and it's congested. So
this is I just got to correct an important point. See, whenever we look at population, right? Let's say in this year, let's presume 100,000 people moved in. Can we safely assume 70,000 are blue collar workers, or maybe even 80% are blue collar workers, or just employees? Let's put it this way: employees, right? 20% are people who actually can invest or at a different bracket. The same concept can be used in Sharjah. Okay, 80% people are living there. Let's say in apartments, shared, anything. Other struggling population, right? 20% of the population are the ones who want to buy these houses, live a nice lifestyle. They have their own industries. You must understand one of the biggest industrial zones, right? And now industrial activity is increasing in Sharjah on a very large scale. Ever since the Trump has changed the tariffs, so industrial activity is constantly increasing. So there are people who already have a lot of activity going on in Sharjah. For those audience, if that 20% audience keeps increasing and understanding the supply, we're looking at a very safe module. So this is also we need to understand. Okay, what is the population? How much percentage of the population can actually afford these houses? And is that population increasing? Is there enough supply to match that?
Interestingly, in the unit configurations, Sharjah is the only townhouse villa community I've seen where they offer a 2-bed townhouse. Although a very small percentage, I think only about 10% of the overall supply is about 2-bed. In addition to this, also a spillover demand like what we discussed earlier from Dubai. So increasingly as Dubai is becoming a bit unaffordable, so you will have that spillover demand coming to Sharjah.
Okay. So spillover demand, actually big thing. Why? Rents are insane in Dubai right now. Constantly increasing. Super unaffordable. In Bay Square, like a studio is like 100,000 plus now. A studio, right? How much is an elite? 80,000 elite. But they'll change the rent very soon.
No, I know that.
You know the owner.
1 year, and I have notice for 1 year at the laptop.
Where's one?
No street.
With 80,000 plus.
But that's good deal. That's a good deal.
I have the entire
But now if you try to rent a studio, how much will it cost you?
Right now, if I go for the Whistle or Bayut, I saw the listing 90K.
90,000. So the point is that a studio going at 90, 100,000. And so you can imagine the houses, right? Now, let's say we're targeting families. On average, can we presume that a family is paying somewhere on average a 200,000 mark? Average, okay? Now, with that value, they can buy a house, right? So, because that's the mindset of people, right? Because when they see an average family person they have their budgets, right? They want to try and save costs. So for them, they're looking at houses. They go to a Damac community. They go to Arabian Ranches 3. They go to Villanova because these are the comparables, right? They go to Villanova. They go to Arabian Ranches 3. They go to Expo. They go to south of Dubai. They go to a lot of reportage communities and they get scared. And then they go to Sharjah. They're like, oh, my traffic is really bad, but the community is beautiful. The schooling is a lot cheaper. The groceries are a lot cheaper. So there is a market. So this spillover demand is only going to keep increasing as the rents in Dubai keep increasing. The spillover demand is also going to increase, and that increase is not going to go to Abu Dhabi. That demand is going to go to Sharjah.
Going on the demand, there are broadly 4 types of buyer profiles who are sort of now looking at investing and buying. These are the typical buyer profiles which is actually buying today in Sharjah, right? So first is, because I've told people who have been in Sharjah, they have been deprived of good projects. They have always had the money without being a choice or always investing in Dubai. Now that they have better or equal sort of opportunities, they are now sort of pulling back, and that's where a lot of absorption is happening. It's like almost a 15-20 years of pent up demand, which is now sort of that's a big thing actually, and predominantly that's for own use, because these are the people who have been staying here for long. Now they need a place to stay, and they're all staying in this, closer to the Al Nada side of it, right? So that's one thing. Till now they didn't have an alternative. Now they have. Second is, like we discussed, there is a spillover demand that's coming in from Dubai. So especially people who are working in Silicon Oasis, a lot of that, right? And people who have kids studying in academic city, practically does not make any big difference by staying in any affordable suburb. I was comparing the distances not with Damac Hills too. Even with Damac Islands, it's still competitive with Damac Islands in terms of the distance that's traveled. Except for downtown, academic city is the same. Silicon Oasis is a similar distance.
See, but this is where I debate why, or at least with my, because see, how will the kids reach school, with the traffic? It'll be too complex. So people in Sharjah will have to find a school in Sharjah, university, because morning the kids will never reach school, unless, I wake the kid up at 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning. It's not practical. So practically, I don't think.
They won't reach back.
Yeah, you see, yeah.
Good activity.
That's what we're doing just around the house, something will never go to Dubai.
So
Actually, the anchor is always the school. So people stay close to the school and then figure out work travels and all that. Far more easier.
Universities, everything. Because, for families, they're giving anything they want.
Yes.
They don't need to go out.
So that's the thing. Like, that's why I don't use see, for example, when I was talking about Abu Dhabi Jurf, I did use the equidistant principle. Like, okay, it's 25 minutes to the Maktoum airport, 25 minutes to Abu Dhabi airport. I'm not going to use the same thing for Sharjah. Sharjah, I'm just going to play on the mindset game where it's like, okay, if you want to have that kind of lifestyle, right? This is a product for you. If you don't want that kind of lifestyle, then this is the product.
Oh yeah, because I feel like there's no comparison between the two living standard lifestyles and everything.
It's a different lifestyle.
It's just like living in New York or Connecticut.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's just
I don't know, but
it's one of those things, right?
I don't know, but another really important part is this, okay? Because like even my uncle, lived I think 45 years in the way he owns a business like maintenance company. So almost like 20 years of his life, all he lived was in this apartment in Sharjah, Not that he didn't have the money, but there was no opportunity there because he doesn't want to go out of Sharjah. But now this is the same concept that happened at Fahid Island. This is the same, in fact, even better. This is the same concept that happened in Port Rashid by Emart. When Port Rashid RYM released, the major buyers were from Dera, Burdubai. The 3 beds were smashed, taken by people from Burdubai because all their life they lived in Dera and Burdubai. And then finally they had the opportunity. Now today there's a guy coming to the office, I don't know if he's come. So he's the owner of a very big insurance company, okay, partner with a very, very big royal family. All his life, he's lived in an apartment in Dera because his office was in Dera. This guy's friend is Joy Alucas, who has a private jet business and is the biggest gold supplier. This guy hangs out with these guys, and now he's like, oh man, I spent like 35 years of my life doing this, maybe I should move to a house, for the family because my wife wants a bigger kitchen. I'm saying this is the crowd.
For me so far, like, I don't see the point of the debate because they're two completely different things. What's the catch?
No, the
If I
catch.
put in 5 million in Dubai compared to I put 5 million in Sharjah, investment wise, what's
I'll
the
just
catch?
show you maybe in 2 years. We'll quickly come to that. I think in my mind when we said Sharjah was
It's us as consultancy. You get you had a buyer yesterday who had 2 million dirhams in cash,
yeah.
right? You were offering Damac Islands.
Now I'm thinking of pitching Sharjah.
That's it. That's the point.
it's about understanding what's the option, what's the alternative, right? And then you figure out.
See, you get a buyer who's saying, hey, I have 2 to 3 million dirhams. Where should I put? Because this is what the buyers we get, right? Zohaib, this is how much money I have.
This is
Where should I
the
invest?
question was what's the catch?
We'll come to that. Also, just to counter that, like I had one client who liked Masaar but did not buy Masaar because of one specific reason. He wanted golden visa.
Yeah.
Okay. Now in Sharjah, there's a rule that you get golden visa, same amount, same value of 2 million, but you can apply for golden visa on handover, not on booking, right? In Dubai, you can do that 20% payment on that, right? So
Also, okay.
yeah, so he liked Sharjah, but because he wanted that as a priority, then we had to sort of evaluate something else.
What's the land department charges?
4%.
And on handover, same thing.
Same. Not an handover at the time of
The
it.
case
Oh,
with,
sorry, on the...
Yeah.
Okay.
but this will be the case with all of Northern Emirates. So even if it's your Queen, Sinia Island,
Well, the same. All of them.
I don't know if it's Russell Kham is the same.
So Russell Kham is, you can apply for Golden Visa at the time of booking.
Booking.
Yeah. Abu Dhabi.
Golden Visa is at
Only
the time.
around-
Handover. I know Umal Queen.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I
That's why you don't pay.
know-
That's why you don't pay even in Senia. You don't pay 4% at the time of booking.
Yeah.
See, this is a proxy indicator.
There's a lot of questions. Resilience. Okay. Yeah.
So this is a proxy indicator, right? Again, I was just trying to figure a way out how do we objectively evaluate sort of the market, right? Because it's just opening up. So one way I was sort of thinking was as a population, there's something called demand density, right? Demand density is nothing but what's the ratio of your population to the unit supply that's there, right? Higher the number, deeper the density, and better the absorption factor is, right? Now in Dubai, this is the ratio, right? So about 4 million population, roughly give or take, current plus future, about 150,000 townhouse villas put together. There's a number of 27, but there's no significance of this number 27. It's just there. But when you look at it compared to, it's more of a comparative. It's more of a relative number. In Sharjah, this is what it is. I've tried to add. Now, the thing with Sharjah is we don't have a DXP interact or a property monitor. So it's really difficult to sort of get that. So I manually tried to, as much as possible, figured out, researched, and small, big communities, tried to add it up. Could be plus or minus 10%, but roughly give or take, right? It's like a 3x better density.
How we could analyze this? Okay, can someone tell me a 2 million dirham mortgage, what will be the monthly installment?
14,000.
14,000. So we just need to assess how many people are willing to spare 14,000 dirhams for a house of their own. I think Sharjah has a pretty decent number of people who could spare.
I have done that math. I can share with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. But the major crowd does not have 14,000 dirham to spare in Sharjah. Okay, probably that's more in Dubai. But there are a lot of businessmen who are willing to shell out 14,000 dirhams for their own house.
Just quick thing, we've touched this. The larger point is that in comparison to any of the other comparative affordable suburbs in Dubai, it's not being too far off. So that whole thing of if there's a problem, there's going to be a problem across all suburbs, right? So it's sort of within 30 minutes to 40 minutes is what the connecting distance.
But this could be interesting, okay? But this, every agent in the market does this. Every agent in the market uses this pitch to sell Sharjah, but we don't follow the market. So
No, but like I said, you live in downtown. I don't care how long it takes for me to get to Marina because Dubai's developed semesters. You kind of end up staying in the area you're in. You gotta build your life.
see, but at least you will reach Marina in 45 minutes, right?
Hour and a half if you're going on.
Yeah, right. Okay, if 45 minutes might go to 60 minutes, right? It's not the case, not the same thing.
So this one investor was this one
But I
investor.
think now with the traffic and everything, like people who live in the ranches are just there for days. They just don't do. The only thing that they do is step out for like school or stuff like that.
So this Golden Visa investor which I was telling, who didn't buy and he is evaluating something. So I took him the first time he was in Dubai and we were taking. So somebody called him before me and some developers. He was telling Masaar is so close to Dubai that you just take like a tea and then you finish the tea, you will get into Dubai. Like you just walk and then you will get in. This is where I want to spend a little time, right? So I've taken a comparative products, right? So which is roughly about around 3 million ke range mein. So we're comparing a Damac Islands 4-bed 2.8, 2.9 range. So we have a Masaar 4-bed around the same. And then there's also another project called Khalid bin Sultan City, which is right next to Masaar. It's all in the same sort of location, right? Now, the same thing. So I want to talk about 2 pointers. One is basically what's the value that you're getting for this price in terms of the sizes, in terms of the layouts. Secondly, how is your cash flow playing out with this kind of pricing? So the same pricing, so this is the unique thing about Sharjah and probably even in Abu Dhabi as well, right? So your price per square foot is about anywhere between 10 to 30% lower, whereas your plot area is about 50 to 70% bigger than what you're getting for a similar price point, right? And these are geographically, if you actually travel, right, these are not, it's basically shares the same geographical DNA, right? It's not fundamentally anything different. It's in the same suburbs. And built up areas is, like Masaar, which is actually in the third phase, which to some extent is already matured to some extent, is still at a 15% sort of premium in terms of built up area, right? But this Khalid bin Sultan City, right, we were evaluating this project. It's such a value for money in terms of what they're offering in terms of, it has 3-bed, 4-bed and standalone villas as well, right? This is one, but this is the interesting part. part along with this, right? So usually top developers in Dubai, of course, 75-25, 80-20 sort of payment plan. Now, to your question, right? So where would you put your money? This is how it plays out. Now, for example, Damac mein, you're putting in about 2.1 million of equity to access a 3 million sort of project with a 75-25. Masaar operates at a 40-60 payment plan. Khalid bin Sultan City 40-60. This Altay Hills, which is a few units are left, semi-detached villas, that operates at a 30-70 payment plan.
But this 4.2 million is at what is the built-up area of this?
It's about 4,150.
Okay, there's one more technical glitch. It doesn't have a maid's room.
So much really for luxury.
It does not have a maid's room. A 4-bed townhouse does not have a maid's room. Big glitch, right? Which one?
4-bed house in the
Damac Islands, Damac, any 4-bed townhouse does not have a maid's room. That's one technical glitch. Which again, some people, my nanny sleeps in one of the bedrooms, so. So, so the maid's room, becomes storage room. Some people don't mind that, okay? But look at it like a 3-bed. And if you have a nanny, you probably don't. So that's one. Second, actually, very important point. The back-to-back houses does not have a green belt. Now, green belt's importance you will see when you go to your property. It's such a big difference. Imagine there's another wall attached to your wall and it's an 8-plex and an 8-plex and everyone's together. It's like
prison living.
Prison, labor camp, I don't know what you want to call it. Everyone's around you. Like, hi, But Imar does, when the green belt comes, huge difference when there's a green belt, And the green belt itself is around 3 to 5 meters. So it's a decent green belt, more greenery. It's nice. So these are some technical glitches.
So technically with about 1 to 1.2 million, right, you're literally accessing probably a similar sized of product, similar valued product here. And also even this 40-60, the payment plans is slightly more spread out. So it's not like a 20 plus 4 kind of model. Typically it's like 5 plus 4 and then every 4 to 5 months you have a 5%. So the load is sort of spread out. I think this combination is what actually whoever I have spoken to who were evaluating, especially when they're used to Dubai sort of properties, this is what is like.
Another big product, a source market for this is people whose children are big and are going to university. So if the kids are going to university, like in Sharjah, this is perfect product for them. Nice big house, can entertain guests. It's very interesting, especially that 4,000 square foot. Because a 4,000 square foot house in Dubai would cost you what, 4,000 square foot built up. And again, I'm not de-selling Dubai and selling Sharjah. I'm just telling you, right? Depending on the person you're having a conversation with. You just need to understand all the products.
So maybe at the end we'll see. I want to really show this Altay Hills location. Location is like killer. It's right on the Emirates Road. First border to this thing. I don't know if you guys know this. The Sharjah Grand Mosque, right? Which is like the largest mosque in Sharjah. It's a walking distance from that. So it's It's
like Dubai Islands.
You don't even
in this one, yes.
See, Altay is the other version of Dubai Islands. See, Dubai Islands, if I step on this side, it's Sharjah. If I step over here, it's Dubai Islands, Dubai,
This is probably the picture I had in mind when I a summary of what I have understood about Sharjah, right? So typically in investment, when you look at any investors in terms of stock markets, right? So the most reward is here. But so in terms of risk to reward ratio, those risk players who optimize for high rewards get into here, but it's not worth it from a risk reward ratio. Most of the crowd gets in here because that's when a lot of chatter, it becomes a common knowledge, and all the dumb people get in here when it's plateaued or is about to curve, right?
Yeah.
The right balance, if you're able to get it, is to sort of getting here. And this is
over here, I would like put this at this is maybe 650, right? Correct? If you look at Masaar, and now we are somewhere at around 1,000, and then there's 1,100, correct?
Yeah.
Right? Now we're entering basically 1,100, right?
1,000 to 1,100 is Masaar. Khalid bin Sultan City is still operating at 900. Altay is about 1,000, so it's in that.
Okay, so basically, that's how you see. This graph is key. Any investor, this graph sells. Simple. You need to understand which trajectory, which part of the investment you're getting into. Again, any call that you have, if you present facts like these, it's impossible that you can't close. But if you act like a typical broker, you're just forwarding the brochures, you're not going to close. That's it. This differentiates. This is it.
Yeah, so I think just a couple of current opportunities, what we can actually... So Masaar, like as I told, it's 3 phases. See, with Masaar, technically, we are not entering in the early phase of the master plan because it's 3 phases, 2 phases sold out. We are entering the mid of the 3rd phase. But the way to sort of look at this is you look at whole location, Sharjah, as a master plan, which is in that curve. So even if you're getting it, you're optimizing for risk, but you still have a big trajectory to ride as a whole emirate as well. That's the of Masaar, right? And of course, the payment plans, sort of makes sense there. Currently, there are very few 2 beds, and there are of course 3 beds and 4 bed villas. 2028 end.
Is there anything ready in the area?
Masaar 1 is ready. Masaar 1 is ready.
It's important to visualize.
Yeah.
That's another very important aspect of a consultant, visualizing. When you see a floor plan, you should visualize the house. If you can visualize it, you can visualize it for the client. And then you tell, okay, imagine on handover, what are the options that the end user has? And is this the house that the person is willing to pay a premium choose?
So this will come to about 1,100 per square feet. This is the other option that we have. So Khalid bin Sultan City is basically just right next to Masaar 2 and 3. So BIA is basically a government-backed entity, one of the largest entities. It's mainly into sustainability, and it's primarily has delivered a lot of infra projects within Sharjah. It works closely with this thing. So interesting thing about this is it's a boutique community, 1,400 villas, 3 phases. Phase 1 of 400 villas is just launched, townhouse and villas. It's in collaboration with Zaha Hadid. So if you just look at the design language of it, right, it's nothing like we have ever seen in Dubai. Extremely futuristic, sustainability, futuristic, contemporary. That's the broad theme. It sits right next to BIA headquarters. So if you guys had a chance to see BIA headquarters, like first time I saw, I actually thought it was like a spaceship, and it's suddenly landed, right? If you guys have seen the movie Dune, I don't know, right? Yeah. That's the design language that they have, right? And that's a glimpse of probably what this community would look like, because it's with the same collaboration. And this is interestingly at around 920 dirhams per square feet.
Are you going to compare the two now? Masaar versus this. Of course, I understand different money propositions in terms of the design angle, but then do you see the price point for this, the font sizes as well as paint, and this better.
This better.
But
Yeah, this better. It's a little farther away. In the sense, it's just right next to each other. So if you look at Emirates Road as probably a reference point, this one will be towards the last one. But it takes about, but as of today, I have literally drove down. So from this community, it takes about 5 to 6 minutes to touch the Emirates Road as of today.
See, there is frequency. Masaar 1, you can.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This is like phase 1.
See, and I feel like it's like that evolution of Emaar situation, right? See, Emirates Living to Dubai Hills to Oasis. Like, I feel like at every project they're trying to improve it. The next developer is trying to beat the previous developer. I feel like Altay Hills was trying to beat Masaar. Khalid bin Sultan City is trying to challenge Altay Hills, because again, there are not many projects over there. As of now, it's a very controlled supply.
Yeah.
So they're trying to build better projects.
One of the things that can come as an objection is the dump that's there close to
The waste management plant.
waste management.
Yeah. So So basically, this is the Emirates Road. This is a road called Al Daid Road, and this is Al Khurfakan Road. So Masaar 1, Masaar 2 is somewhere here. BIA is here. So BIA headquarters is this. This is already existing today. You can access here. This Khalid bin Sultan City is right next to that. So it sorts of the entries here. Now, there's a road, and about 1.5 kilometers is where you have this waste management plant. So it's about 1.5-2 kilometers away, which is run by BIA. One of the risk factors are some of the highlighted, but practically when you go and see the sort of location, because Masaar will be equally impacted if it is, right? Because it's the same location.
Is there smell?
No, there's no smell. So there's about 1.5-2 kilometers away from here, and then there's a BIA headquarters, and then you have this community, and this stretch is about 1.5 kilometers. So it's like a rectangular sort of community. Phase 1 is coming here, and then you have phase 2 and phase 3. This side is Sharjah, and this side is Dubai. This is the Grand Mosque, which is there. And this rectangular stretch is the Altay Hills. Yeah. So, and I don't know if this line that you see, right after this line is Dubai. This part, you can see here, Dubai Land Department Water Camp. This is Dubai, this is Sharjah, this is right on the border.
Okay. Okay, wait, to give you guys perspective. Okay, let's say what is the closest community from here, okay? To give you guys perspective. Driving, 611, we're going on 611.
I think this,
I think it's the villa. Avir, Kavanij, still driving. I think this is a community, right? No? Varsan, okay, so this is where International City, Varsan, that comes by first on your right-hand side. That is your International City and Silicon Oasis. You keep driving. And
but
then
next to Kabanij, Al-Adba is doing a lot of communities.
Academic City.
which one?
Al-Adba is right after Kabanij. You take the exit, there's Varstan, then there's Hamanid, and then there's Al-Adba.
And then you reach the villa.
Very nice. That's about it, huh? 50 minutes drive.
No, it's not 50. It's like a 30-minute drive.
What are you driving 50 kilometers?
No, it's not a 50-minute drive. 32 minutes, okay. And this is medium traffic,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, see, the concept of today's debate or discussion is not saying Sharjah is better than Dubai. It is, as consultants, you should understand all the terms we use today, absorption, density, trajectory of investment, resilient investments. You need to know how to analyze these data. For example, there's no DXB Interact. So based on the available data, what is the estimated number of units coming in? What is the population? These are indicators by which you can give the correct advice to investors. Investors are not silly. They're not stupid. They will work with a person who can give value. I feel like, I think Imtiaz has one of the highest closing rates in this whole company. Because why? If an investor connects with him, they feel the value add. And I have very few consultants like that who, once they speak to that consultant, right, and they won't go to any other agent. They're not going to negotiate. They won't negotiate with kickbacks once in a while. But because see, now the kickbacks are going to be a big curse, and it's coming on big as the number of as the population, it's all economics, right? When the number of agents increase or not closing deals, they're willing to work on 0.5% and 1%. So you're going to face this a lot. But where can you improve yourself? How can you hedge yourself against the interesting crowd that's coming to Dubai? It's just this, man. With this, that's it.
Yeah, I think broadly potential target people who might find this interesting are definitely people from Sharjah who's looking at investments for them. This will be the first of the priority. Second is people who are in Dubai and who are exiting their investments and now trying to sort of redeploy that capital. Now this is the time that a lot of them are also taking a step back, and because the kind of wave that they rode in the first wave, right? The last 4 years, they don't have that kind of opportunity. They're used to riding that, right? They don't find that. So this one, they feel they can actually relate to this. The third is there is like an influx of people who I mentioned from different geographies who are coming in. And then there's this whole family sort of this thing, right? And from the whole cash flow standpoint, and one more thing is I forgot to ask, right? So usually when we say about flexible payment plans, 30, 70, 40, 60, there are two risks that we see in Dubai, right? Number one is when a developer does that, he usually bakes in that in terms of inflated pricing. He factors that in terms of this. Second thing is you are letting in, because the entry barrier is low, you have a lot of speculators who sort of step in, who have no choice. There's no plan B. They have to exit at the time of handover or before, right? And that causes this whole distressed deal scenario. Even if you're a genuine investor, you're caught in that. Till dust settles, till the price normalizes, it's your rental even if you want to hold. Now, in this case, there are two reasons why I think that might be of a less of a problem. It could still be, but less. Number one is the underlying buyer base is more of end users as well as compared to investors. So it's not really people who are looking at flipping. Second thing is the pricing itself. Even if that payment plan, the pricing is still giving us that 10 to 30% sort of cushion while not being completely away from a comparable sort of projects. Third thing is the developers whom we are talking about are either government developers or very large proven developers, right? So these are not your first time tier 4 kind of developers. So which is why I felt the situation is a bit mitigated, but again, we'll have to be a bit careful.
A closing statement from my side is that one of the, again, very strong indicator. Did any of you guys know about these projects, all of them? Zero marketing. These guys don't talk about their projects. Now, all across the world, which products do you see? Emaar, Damac, Danube, Shobha, Azizi, right? Huge marketing force. Forget this. If you go to the developer's office, does somebody talk to you? If you go to the developer's office, no one's talking to you over there. It's really hard, because they don't care.
So one of the Masaar guys, I was asking him, I wanted to know what was your initial launch price for me to just compare. He didn't know. He told we don't have the data. He didn't know. Then,
So if you go to any of these developers' offices, I think a maximum of 3 or 5 people will be there. Maximum 6. And these are the guys who are selling out all these projects. So that itself is a very strong indicator. I think comparable of that to Dubai is probably your H&H and Miraz has people. Miraz people at least know now. Shamal. People who don't need market. Peninsula. Sold out, right? People hunt them, they go find them. You have to start talking. I'll tell you another beautiful news, okay? My Instagram got deleted, right? I think I started my Instagram, how many days ago? 3 days ago? 4 days ago? Today I have a lead. On what? You know, I just started the account, 66 followers. You know, I'm saying that's how powerful good value content is, you know. Sit on the laptop, do some analysis, make some reports, you know. And investors, anyone who's worried that why people are not investing with me is because you weren't able to give that additional value add that they don't have. The second you give that additional value add, you're an indispensable asset. The deal is done. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mohammed Sahib. Born and raised in Dubai, this city is truly my home. I began my real estate journey back in 2009 with EMA, and now with 17 years of experience, I can say with absolute confidence, just consultation doesn't cut it anymore. That's why 3X Capital we go beyond, offering not just consulting. Yes, we are the best in consulting, but also business setup, mortgage services, Airbnb, property management, corporate structuring, golden visa solutions, and even crypto advisory. We approach every client with a luxury concierge mindset, trying to ensure you receive seamless end-to-end support on every step of your investment journey. Welcome to 3X, a new norm in Dubai, where Habibi meets global opportunity.